y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and today I am working in my memory journal. All right, it is time for some memory keeping. I am memory keeping in a memory journal. It is part of the system from 49 and Market, and I'm really excited to be doing it this year. It's not the same as a scrapbook in that I'm memory keeping every single big event. This is kind of turning into a combination art journal, memory keeping situation. And today I'm excited to dive into a little bit of memory keeping. Our church is opening a new sanctuary. They've been renovating a new building or building new building. And this was a picture of our very last Sunday in our old sanctuary. And I thought that that was an important moment to document. So that's what we're going to do today. I love that these are smaller pages, a smaller format. And I'm excited to get the story of this down on paper. So I will put you all on fast forward. I'm planning to use some of these goodies from Simple Stories. All right, let's do it. All right, I am using a set called The Good Stuff from Simple Stories. I love this set. There's actually a sheet for every month. I kind of want to get another copy of this set because I think it is so cute. Love the bright colors. And of course, Simple Stories is usually my jam. I have a couple of pictures here. Again, this is from our last Sunday in our old sanctuary at church. We are building a new sanctuary. And so this was, they called it Decommissioning Sunday, decommissioning the old sanctuary, and then we'll be transferring to the new one. And I wanted to get a picture because, of course, a lot of amazing things have happened in this particular sanctuary for my family. So I have a picture of the kids and I, and then a picture of just kind of up front what the sanctuary looks like. We're going to go ahead and put down some scrapbook paper on these pages. I love the idea of covering the whole book in scrapbook paper, covering the whole page. So we'll start with this kind of deep green color. So pretty. Then I'm just going to cut it off. I could have easily measured the size of these pages, but you guys know me and how I don't like to measure things. So I'm just cutting from here. So we're going to cut off right here. That will cover one side. Then the other side, we will put the polka dot paper down on that side and then trim off the extra over there. And then I'm going to kind of layer the scraps of these two papers on top of each other so that you get the crossover effect. I'll show you what I mean. So let me just get this one lined up. I'm trying to make sure there is still a little bit of gap right in the middle. This is sewn together, this particular book, which is fabulous. The paper in the 49 and Market journals is nice and thick, which I love, but I want to be careful about placing things right where the page is turning because that's eventually going to cause it not to open up flat like it does right now. And then when you place things over the centers of the pages, you can have some issues with those things, not only just bending, but kind of getting messed up as you open and close the book over and over again. So you'll see I have some solutions on how I'm going to work around that, but I just try to make sure there's this tiniest little gap. It's probably hard to see on camera. I am now matting each of these photos. I think matting a photo on scrapbook paper is a really simple way to kind of elevate the look, whether you are doing a scrapbook, a memory journal, a memory planner. Just matting your photos makes the whole thing look a little bit different, and I love, love, love how it turns out. All right, the torn paper. I love me some torn paper. We're going to use that to kind of extend the polka dot look over to the left-hand side. Let me just add some adhesive on the back to make sure I'm being pretty generous with the adhesive since this is not going in a page protector. And again, you see that little bit of white in between? That's just to make sure the page will keep turning. Something to keep in mind when you're working in an open book like this. All right, I'm going to trim off the excess on that side, and then I'm going to mirror, which means I'm going to do the same effect on the right side of the spread, but this time with the green paper, not that paper, that's peaches. Let's use some of this green. I'm going to tear it and we're going to do the same look, the same effect over on the other side. I like how that effectively brings these two pages together. They actually don't share any common colors. One has the pinks and oranges and that blue, and then the other one is the green. This brings the two looks together, I think, kind of into one solid or one cohesive background. All right, let's trim off. I had a little trouble trimming right here in the middle. So let me just clean that up, trim the side. And there, now the background is all set. I got my pictures. I want to use these two cards. I love the documented card. I think that's a great place for journaling. As I'm putting things into this memory journal, I definitely want to make sure I'm documenting these stories because I am not documenting every single week of the year. In 2024, when I do document a picture or a story, that probably means it's important to me for some reason. So I want to make sure I'm taking the time to write out the meaning behind that story. All right, I'm trying to work on the best arrangement for my photos, and I'm seeing that this photo of the sanctuary, of the front of the sanctuary, is going to have to be over the divide. I will end up cutting this photo. Let's first get this one down right here. I trimmed it down so that I could see a little bit of the green all around it. Then I'll get the picture of the kids and I down right here. Lovely family selfie. Okay, here's the thing. I have this photo. It's going to go over the edge. I'm going to pull out a straight edge, a craft knife and a straight edge, and mark where the divide is going to be. Then I will be able to cut that apart. I could have just cut it with the craft knife, but I just wanted to kind of score it with the craft knife. And then I'm cutting it with my Ranger scissors right here. And I think it comes out really well. We'll see as this book starts to get thicker. Of course, I have several different books for to last me through 2024, but I decided I was going to mix up all the things like the memory photos, the art journaling, the journal. It's all going to get mixed up for 2024 just to see how I like it. We'll see how it does with things being divided over the edge of the page like that and see how it kind of comes together and if it is something that I can maintain in the end. All right, once all the biggest elements are on the page, now I get to play with the paper ephemera, of which I only have a few because apparently I have used this set a lot. Another reason I want to get some more elements of it. I think it's so cute. This camera is just too big, but the rainbow, there's always a place for a rainbow. So we're going to do the rainbow again over the divide of the page. All I'll have to do is cut it. And then I'm looking for a few other little details. Let's go ahead and get these down on the page. I like to work from big to small, almost in all my projects. So you can see I worked on the background, the biggest elements, the photos, and now we're getting smaller and smaller. And I try to continue to look for places to add little detail work. I think that's what makes the difference in a spread feeling really complete and really special is, are you able to add some of those little detail moments? Once I'm happy with some of these smaller elements, last thing I'm going to do is go ahead and write in the date that these photos were taken and then do the journaling. And that is going to be it for this memory journal page. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification. I will link all of the supplies that I used down in the description box below, so be sure to check down there if you're looking for some more info. I do want to give a huge shout out to all of my Patreon members. Thank you all for being the rock star creatives that you are. You're the absolute best. We'd love to have you over on Patreon, so go ahead and check out the link down below and see some of the cool things that are happening over there. All right, I hope that you have a fabulous day, and as always, keep it creative.